We continue now at the top of Daf Kufay and Hayamad Aleph and Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 175a. And the previous summer, Rav Huna said that if a person is makdish all of his property while he's a shchimera, while he is on his deathbed, and then he says that he owes some money to a particular individual, we believe that he actually owes that money. And Rav Nachman asked in Rav Huna, why should we believe him? We find that when a person says he owes money, sometimes we assume that he's just saying that in order to make it look like his children are not wealthy. And so the same thing is true over here, hachanami over here as well. Adam asoi shalola has to be es atzmo. A person sometimes will say something in order to make himself not look sated, in order to make himself not look so wealthy. And the Rashbam explains hachanami gabe hektish. The same is true by hektish. Ikol ameimra lekachnes gavin. We can say that was his intention. Why does Rav Huna say that the person is believed, v'nos and lo hamon, and then we give the 100 dinar to the person who he says he owes the money to? Why do we say that? And the Gemara continues and answers, Ki ka'amar Rav Huna hasam. When did Rav Huna say over there that we pay the creditor the money? Again, in a situation where the person was makdish all of his property and then he said he owed money to somebody. That's only in a situation, the naked shtara, where the creditor has a shtara, he has a document supporting that he's owed the money, then we pay the money. But the Gemara continues, Mechlal, but that would imply the Rav Shmuel, that the case of Rav Shmuel, which Rav Nachman brought, when he asked on Rav Huna, in that case, again, the person said he owes money to somebody, and we say we don't believe him because maybe he's just saying it to make it that his children don't look so wealthy. So that implies the lo naked shtar. That implies that whole case is talking about a situation where the creditor does not have a shtar. But if the creditor does not have a shtar, what did Rav and Shmuel say? They said that Amar Tanu Nosten. They said that if the person says give it, so then we actually do pay the creditor. But why should that be true? Milval peh. We're now saying that that's a case of a milval peh. That's an oral loan. There is no document. V'Rav Shmuel damri tarvayu, and Rav and Shmuel both say milval peh ino go v'lo min hayarshin v'lo min halakuchos. If you have a milval peh, you don't collect. You don't take the money from the heirs. You don't take the money from buyers. And over here we're talking about yarshim over here. So why should you pay the creditor even in a situation where the person says tanu? And so the Gemara continues with another answer. Elomer of Nachman, rather of Nachman says idi v'idi in both cases. In the case of Hektish and in the case of Rav and Shmuel, the naked shtar, the creditor does have a shtar. V'lo it's not difficult. Hadim mekuyim. In one case we're talking where the shtar was certified. There you pay the creditor. That's Rav Huna's case. And hadil lo mekuyim. But in the case of Rav and Shmuel, it was not a certified document, and therefore you make a distinction between when he says tanu and when he doesn't say tanu. Amar tanu kaimei l'shtari. If he says tanu, that's considered a certification of the shtar. Lo amar tanu lo kaimei l'shtari. If he doesn't say tanu, then we don't have a certification of the shtar. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabba says, Shchimera sha'amar mona leploni biyodi. If a shchimera, someone on his deathbed, says that I owe a money to so-and-so, v'yamru yisom in paranu, and the yisomim, the orphans, they say that we paid it off, ne'emonin, they are believed. Tenu mana leploni, but if the shchimera says, give a mana to so-and-so, he says it in a more assertive manner. V'yamru yisom in paranu, and the orphans say that they paid it, ein ne'emonin, in that case they are not believed. And the Gemara immediately asks Klape Laya, in which direction is this being said? Ipcha mistabra. On the contrary, it seems that it should really be the opposite. Amar tenu mana, if he says give a mana, kevan de paska avu and lamilsa, since he was assertive about it and said to give that money, ikol amemer de pari, so it's more likely to say that it was paid. Mana leploni biyadi, but if he said I owe a mana to so and so, kevan de lo pasak avu and lamilsa, since he wasn't so assertive about it, so ikol amemer de lo pari, there's more likely that it wasn't yet paid. And so the Gemara revises the statement, rather, if anything was stated, what was stated is as follows. If the Shchimera says, if he says on his deathbed that I owe a money to so-and-so, and then the orphans say that father retracted and actually said I paid already, and then they are believed. My time, what's the reason? It kure mitkar, because he's now remembered that he paid. But tenu mana leploni, but if he says give a mana to so and so, v'yamru yisomen, and the orphans say chazar v'yamar Abba, that Abba retracted and he said parati already paid, ein nemon, and then they're not believed dim isa de pari, because if it's really true that he paid lo havamar tenu, he wouldn't have said in such an assertive manner to give the money. And the Gemara continues, Boy Rava asks the following question. Shchimera shahod, if you have someone on his deathbed who admits that he owes some money, Mao, so what's the halacha in that situation? Tzarech lomar atem edai, does he have to have witnesses over there and say you are my witnesses that I am admitting, which is what happens in a standard case. O ein tzarech lomar atem edai, or maybe he doesn't need to say atem edai. Tzarech sheyomar ksovu, does he say write it down? Again, that normally happens, that the person admits and writes it down that he owes the money. O ein tzarech lomar ksovu, or does he not have to say ksovu? And the idea of the question is, Adam meshate b'shas misa, does a person jest at the time of his death? O ein adam meshate b'shas misa, a person doesn't joke around at the time of his death. And the Gemara answers, Basra Daf Hader Pashta. After he asked the question, he answered it as follows: Ein adam meshate b'shas misa. A person does not jest at the time of his death. What he's saying, he means that seriously. And the general rule is v'divrei shchimera kechsuvin v'chimisurin damu. Just the words of a shchimera, it's as if it's written and given over, and therefore it's not necessary to say atam edai. It's not necessary to say kesovu. And the Rashbam explains shchimera shehoda bal chovo toin lo moneli biadcha. The case over here is the creditor says you owe me a money. V'yamar lohein, and then the shchimera says yes, I do owe it. Techi agavna minan b'sanhedrin b'perek zebor. In a similar case, if it wasn't a shchimera, we say in Mesechet Sanhedrin in perek zebor d'tzarich sheyomer atam edai, that he has to say you are my witnesses to this admission. V'lo matzi amar le meshatani bach. And if he doesn't say atam edai, he could say that I'm just joking. Tzarich sheyomer kesovu. Does he need to say kesovu? Da'aminan b'cheskas habatim, because we say in perek cheskas habatim earlier, hoda b'fnei shnayim, that if a person admits in front of two people, tzarich sheyomer kesovu, he has to say kesovu. And the Gemara concluded, v'divrei shchimera kechsuvin v'chimisurin, the words of a shchimera, it's like it's written and given, ve'ein tzarich lomar kesovu. The Rashbam says that means that that saying kesovu is not necessary. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Hamalves chaveru b'shtar, if a person lends money to his friend with a document, govim in the chasim mishubadim, you collect the debt from the chasim mishubadim, that's property with a lien on it. It means to say that if the borrower sells property, you can collect from the buyers. Al yedei edim, but if the loan was made through witnesses, but it was not recorded in a document, gove min chasim b'nei chorin, then you can only collect from free property. And the Rashbam explains, Hamalves chaveru b'shtar afilu ein kasabo achrayis. It means even if you didn't write into the shtar that there is achrayis, that there's a lien, still you can collect from the chasim mishubadim. Hapaskin in hilchas b'shnayim ochzin. We paskin the halacha is in Babba Mitzi and shnayim ochzin. The achrayis tos sofru. That achrayis we consider a scribal error. It means to say that even if you don't write in the achrayis, we assume there is achrayis. V'chamisha kasabo achrayis dami. It's as if achrayis was written in there. And mishubadim again means there's a lien mechurin. Even if that property was sold, you can collect from the buyers, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Ayin Hey Amid Beis.